Welcome to Amy Learns to Cook. On the show today, we are making my easy chicken rice with mushrooms. This recipe is easy enough for a weeknight dinner or fancy enough for the weekend. So join me as we make easy chicken and rice with mushrooms. Okay, so the first thing we have to do is to prep our chicken. And what I did is I took some boneless, skinless chicken breasts and I trimmed them, cleaned them up, and butterflied them. And this is how I did it. Okay, the first step to our dish is to prepare our chicken. So we have 3 chicken breasts here, and they need a little bit of trimming because I buy these in a family pack at my local supermarket, and they're not trimmed very well. Our chicken is nice and trimmed. So what we're going to do is we're going to butterfly this chicken. Basically, butterflying is just slicing it this way, and we're going to open it up, and it's going to become 2 thin layers of chicken. So we're just going to go ahead and take our knife and cut here. Pretty much going to open it up. And what that's going to give us is 2 thin pieces of chicken. These are going to cook a lot faster, and they actually end up tasting better to me because they're not so thick. So I'm going to go ahead and finish cleaning up our chicken, and then we'll proceed with the recipe. Okay, so we're going to start the recipe off by creating our breading station, and these pretty much are just breading pans, and we are going to take 1 cup of flour, and this is just an all-purpose flour, and we're going to put this in one of our pans. And then we're going to season up this flour a little bit. We're going to use 2 teaspoons of salt. We're going to use 1 teaspoon of paprika, and this is my favorite paprika from my spice store, my favorite spice store. 1 teaspoon of paprika. And then we're going to go with 1 teaspoon of garlic powder. Okay, and then we're just going to give this a little stir. To combine. And now we're going to make our wet ingredients. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and mix our wet ingredients. We're going to take 2 eggs, and we're just going to place them in this bowl to beat them up. And we're going to take 4 tablespoons of milk. 4 tablespoons of milk. We're just going to go ahead and beat that up. And we're going to put that into our other breadings pan here. And we're ready to go. We're ready to start cooking our chicken. Okay, the first thing we're going to do is we're going to put a little bit of olive oil in our pan. And we're going to dredge the chicken, and then we're going to put the chicken in our saute pan. So I'm just going to go ahead and put a little bit of cracked pepper on there for a little bit of heat. And then we're going to dredge the chicken. We're going to put the chicken in the egg mixture, dip it in. We're going to dip it in the flour. You don't want a real super heavy coating of flour. You just want it lightly floured. And then we're going to go ahead and put it into our saute pan. And our saute pan is getting warm. And we're just going to go ahead and dredge the rest of this chicken and put it in the saute pan and brown it up. And we're going to have to do this in batches. So we're just going to brown this chicken off. It's not going to cook all the way through. We're just going to brown it, and then we're going to remove it to the pan to a plate. The chicken has browned up. It's been in here probably 6 minutes or so. We're just going to go ahead and take it off, and we're going to cover it up with a little bit of foil just to keep it nice and warm. And we're going to set it aside. Okay, so the next thing we're going to do is we're going to saute some mushroom. And this is pretty much 1 pound of mushrooms that I've cleaned and sliced. And we're just going to saute those, leaving the chicken goodness in the bottom of the pan. We're going to saute those till they're softened and have absorbed some of that goodness. Okay, so we're going to remove the mushrooms from the pan. And one of the reasons I remove the mushrooms is because we're using wine and lemon juice, they tend to soak it up a little too much and they get a little vinegary. So as a general rule, I like to cook mushrooms separately just to ensure that they're cooked exactly like I want them to be cooked. So we're just going to remove the mushrooms. And then we're going to add a little bit more olive oil, and we're going to saute the onions. Okay, so now we're going to saute the onions. We're going to go ahead and put the onions in our saute pan here, and they are going to soak up some of that goodness. We're just going to saute them until they're translucent. Okay, so while our onions are sauteing, we're going to go ahead and mix up the liquid ingredients. So what we have is 2 cups of chicken broth, and we're going to go ahead and put that in a bowl. Okay, so we're going to put a little bit of wine in this, and this is just a little bit of white wine. One thing you can do is if you're not a big wine drinker, you can buy these little bottles of wine, and they come in a 4-pack, and they're great to use in cooking because it's pretty much 4 individual meals. But we're going to go ahead and open this bottle because we will drink this with our dinner. Okay, so we're going to put a cup of our wine, and this is just white wine. We're going to put a cup of that in with our chicken broth. It's looking good. We're also going to put the juice of a lemon in here, and just don't get any seeds. Almost got some seeds there. It's easy to just twist your fork and got some more seeds. This is a seedy lemon. Oh, that smells really good. Okay, and then we're going to add in a tablespoon of cornstarch, and that's going to help us thicken this up a little bit. And we're just going to give this a quick stir till we've incorporated all our ingredients. The cornstarch is melted in there. And we're going to go ahead and add our juice to our pan here. Wow, looks really good. And now it's time to put the chicken back in. Okay, so now we're going to put our chicken back into the pan. And we're going to reserve the mushrooms till just about 5 minutes before our chicken is done. We're going to go ahead and nestle the chicken into our liquid here. It's looking really good, and I'm getting hungry. We're going to bring this to a simmer, and we're going to simmer it for about 25 minutes until our chicken is fully cooked. We want to probe it with the probe and make sure that it's at least about 165 or higher. I like mine about 175 because I like my chicken fully cooked. But we're going to go ahead and let this simmer for about 20-25 minutes. 5 minutes before it's done, we're going to put in the mushrooms. Okay, so we're going to add, our chicken's basically done. We're going to add in the mushrooms, and we're just going to combine them a little bit in here. We're going to let this heat up with the mushrooms about 4 or 5 minutes, and then we'll be ready to take a taste. Okay, so now it's time to plate it up, and we're going to get a piece of chicken here. Yum, yum, yum. Okay. And we're going to get some mushrooms and sauce. Wow. This is one of those I just can't wait to eat it dishes. Give me a little more sauce. And a little more sauce. Woo, wow. It looks incredible. So let's take a taste. Okay, so let's take a taste. I'm gonna pour a nice glass of wine that went in our dish to go along with our meal here. And wow, this looks really, really good. You don't even need a knife to eat this. I don't know what I'm thinking. It is so good. The chicken is really tender. You can taste the lemon. You can taste the wine. Let's taste the mushrooms with the rice. Wow. This dish here is just, this is a showstopper right here. It's so good. It's easy to make. And it is incredibly delicious. So we'll have a toast to our chicken. If you like this recipe, please subscribe below and visit my website at amylearnstocook.com. I'm also on Twitter and Pinterest at Amy Learns to Cook.